Hello, GameSmith fans. This is Brandon Smith with GameSmith. I wanted to take a minute and actually define what what buy listing is. I've kind of taken it for granted that everybody knows what that is, but I've actually gotten a few questions as to like what buy listing is and what I meant by that. So if we get really specific, card shops need an ability to acquire cards, and they can't necessarily always just open everything in order to get there. So, for example, if I need a card from like Revised, I'm not going to go spend $1 million and open up booster boxes of Revised until I find the individual card. So instead, what I as a shop owner do, especially if I'm getting ready to go to like a trade show, for example, which is what this week is all about, if there's a big Grand Prix going up, if I see that there's going to be a few things that are going to be really hot for standard, and we want to kind of boost people's ability to finish their decks, so we can do that big event. Whenever any of those things happen, that's when I try and acquire cards for credit, so that people can get what it is that they need, and so that I can move other things on like secondary markets. So I'm going to use one example, and it's going to be Savannah. And Savannah is one of the original dual lands from Alpha, Beta, Unlimited, and then it was also printed and revised. So without dealing with any of the really expensive ones, we're going to just look at the revised version. Okay. So if you go to TCG Player, and today's date is November the 2nd, so obviously a lot of this data may change, but I chose a dual land because dual lands are fairly stable. So anyway, Savannah. It's green-white, was printed a few times, is in revised, original dual land. It's a Plains Forest as well. If you look at TCGplayer.com, the TCG Player mid price for that card is $73.60. Now, there's I think a low price of $55 and like a high price of like $90. Whatever. Card Kingdom might have them for $130. I have no idea. Anyway, but like that's a really solid basis in terms of what people use to determine trade value. So in this particular case, if you were trading with your friend, if you have a Savannah, the median price is $73.60. Now, as a shop owner, what I have to do is I have to take a look at what the margins are. And in my particular store, usually that's about 20 to 30%. Okay, so if we assume that I take the full points in terms of what I need in order to make my margins work, that would be 30%. So at $73.60 70% of that number is $51.70. So that's the minimum margin that a store needs to have in order to like acquire a card, hold on to it for an indefinite period of time, and then turn it over and make a few dollars. Okay, so $73.60 is the TCG Player mid. $51.70 is like the highest number that I could reasonably take it in for. Otherwise, it's better for me to try and acquire it through other means, like ask a friend or trade them something that they really want or whatever else. Because believe it or not, card store owners actually do trade like other card store owners for individual cards. So we assume that. So $51.70. Now, the rest of that is how long I'm going to sit on that Savannah. Now, if I know that I got somebody and they're going to buy it right now, awesome. We're going to be a lot closer to 50 than we are going to be to 30, okay? But anytime you get any other price that is more than 30% below whatever the TCG Player mid is in that particular case, that means that there's a time component. So, like, if I sell a dual land once a year, maybe, okay? So, in terms of, like, how often I'm going to want to, like, take that in and move a bunch of stuff and give people tons of packs and like do all those types of things, I'm happy to do it. I'm a little bit more restricted because I know that I'm going to have to hold on to it for a year. So anything less than the $50 is literally how much longer I think it's going to take than like a week to be able to actually turn that card over. So anyway, so a buy list price for that in this case would be anywhere between 30 on the very low end if I didn't think that I could move it at all, or if any other shop owner didn't think that they could move it at all, or 50. It'd be somewhere in there, somewhere between $30 and $50 should be the buy list value for a Savannah that again is going for $73.60. on the median. And obviously all of this depends on condition and whatever else, and there are a few other smaller factors. But essentially, it's the way that shop owners acquire cards. Everything has a margin, and then the rest of it is just the time component for certain things. There's some sleeves and some items that have really good margins. For example, like, if there was a dice set that I could bring in for $1 and sell it for $5, but it was ugly, like, I would never bring it in. It doesn't matter what the margin is of that particular game. I mean, it's never worth my time to bring those things in. So like we always have to take those things into consideration. And individual cards have to be done the exact same way. So if a card is very slow in terms of turnover, typically it's a lot harder to buy list those particular things. However, things that are higher velocity, you actually get a lot closer to the value of it. So anyway, that's buy lists explained. If anybody has any questions, go ahead and comment, ask me a question, tell me what's going on. So anyway, I hope that helps. Thanks.